questions, we'll have them after the three panelists. And raise your hand if you'd like Alice to come and collect them.
Thank you, Ellie, league members, and guests. Thank you, Mr. Springer. I'm relatively new to what I'm doing. I think you've cleared up some things that I need to hear. I thank you very much.
Maybe hold it a little closer.
A little closer, not too
Oh,
close.
no, that's good.
Why am I here today? I'm here today because I feel called. Something must be done to change the direction our nation is headed. Our nation is gradually moving toward an oligarchy. Big money and big corporations are doing all they can to shift our thinking, our policies, and our decisions at election time. They want to reshape America the way they want. And the rest of us, it's too bad. Most of my adult life I've been apolitical. Sure, I voted each time, and I put some bumper stickers on my car. But that was all. But that decision by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2010 told me, Loring, you can't just sit back and watch anymore. You owe something to your granddaughters. You've got to join with others and stop the way that our country is headed. So what did the Supreme Court do? I think we heard it very well here from Mr. Springer. It's why we're here today. It's why the title of this forum is called Money in Politics. Because our elections are being flooded with massive amounts of money. Do you know that? The decision by the Supreme Court said that money is protected free speech. So now the people with the most money have the loudest voice to outshout the rest of us. That decision said, sure, you can influence elections if you call yourself a social welfare organization. That's what the tax code calls it. You're just educating the public. Educating the public? You're smearing good people with online ads, with TV ads. That's education. Our Senator, John McCain, when he heard the decision, he summarized it by saying it's a combination of stupidity, naivety, and arrogance. He said there will be corruption as a result of that decision. There's plenty of evidence of people going directly from campaign staff and starting one of these organizations to promote that candidate's vote in the election. Right here in Arizona, our Attorney General, the top law enforcement guy in the state, is under investigation for coordinating with one of these social welfare organizations that was supporting his candidacy. You see, Citizens United said there must be no coordination between those independent organizations and the candidate. I think that's the naivety that Senator McCain was talking about. I've been asked to come here today and speak about Move to Amend. As we've heard, Move to Amend is a nationwide organization. We have about 160 affiliates. I started the affiliate here in town called Northern Arizona Move to Amend. And Mr. Stringer was right. It was started by some very liberal people. He's right. He's right. I suppose I've been leaning a little bit liberal through my life, but I'm a registered independent. Move to Amend says they are nonpartisan. On our leadership team, we have a registered Republican. I haven't asked the others, but he's bragged about it. So we want to be nonpartisan. We're not promoting any candidate. And the goal of Move to Amend, as he said, is to amend the Constitution to say that money is not free speech. And the corporation should not have the rights of human beings granted by the Constitution. You see, the Founding Fathers were wary of corporations. There's evidence of that. They've been dominated by the East India Company, a global company that was oppressing them. So when we finally got our independence and the war was over, they wanted to put some limits on corporations so they didn't get too powerful. They said, sure, you can start a corporation, that's fine, for a certain project. When that project was done, you need to disband. Now, that's the information I have. Mr. Stringer may conflict with that, but that's what I have. They could not own other corporations. They could not bigger and bigger. You see, corporations can live forever. You and I can. We have morals. We raise kids. Corporations have thousands of people to do what they want, and they'll do it. I'm not anti-corporation. I helped start a corporation once. I was on the board of a nonprofit daycare center. We decided whether to be incorporated. We got the papers, filled them out, sent them into the state, and became incorporated. They serve a useful purpose. They should have certain rights. The right to own property, the right to enter into contracts, other rights that helps them to function safely and profitably if they're a for-profit organization, but not inalienable rights. Now, over the last 120 years, corporations have been gradually given the rights of human beings guaranteed by our Constitution. It wasn't done by Congress. It wasn't done by a president. It was done in 1887. That's when it started. An obscure tax case. A railroad, a California county. The Chief Justice said to the other justices, I think we all agreed on we, the corporation, should have the same rights as human beings. He inserted a piece in the headnote, the summary of that case, saying that, and it's become a dictum. So those rights, corporations, human rights guaranteed by the Constitution, have expanded and expanded since then. Let's proceed to another point in our history. During the Civil War, corporations gained a lot of power. They made money, power. They were supplying important material to the war effort. That concerned President Lincoln. From a letter that's been accredited, that's been assumed that he wrote, I see in the near future a crisis approaching that unnerves me. It causes me to tremble for the safety of our country. Corporations have been enthroned, and an era of corruption in high places will follow. And the money power of the country will endeavor to prolong its reign by working upon the prejudice of the people until all the wealth is aggregated in a few hands and the republic will be destroyed. Let's talk about some of the rights that corporations have assumed. We all have a protection against search and seizure. Corporations have that now. If a whistleblower goes to a government agency and says, hey, the factory where I work is dumping pollution in the river, that government agency has to go to court and get a search warrant, explain why they need it. In the meantime, the corporation can shut off the pollution and all is well. There's a bizarre case I read about where a corporation went to court and said, that government agency flew over our factory looking at what we're doing, inspecting us from the airplane, and that's an invasion of our privacy. Fortunately, the judge didn't see it that way. Corporations have the right to lie. You and I can lie. If we don't do it in court under oath, we can lie. There's plenty of evidence corporations have done that. Tobacco companies lied for years about the harm that cigarettes were doing. They knew internal documents have shown that they were lying. But they have the right to do that because they have the rights of human beings. An amendment, I should say that the amendment that moved to amend is promoting may not be the final draft. It may be something quite different. There's an amendment right now, as Mr. Stringer said, in Congress, in both houses. I think there's going to be a vote on Monday to overturn Citizens United. The move to amend is not supported very strongly because we feel it does not go far enough. And it isn't going to go anywhere in this Congress anyway. It's a statement, as near as I can tell. But it's important. Now, if our amendment were to pass, or one that's similar, we would say, Mr. Corporation, you're a creation of the state. And we, the people, through our legislature, will decide your rights. They're not inalienable. They'll be decided by Congress or state legislature. We'll decide if you're serving the public honestly and safely. And if you're not, we have the power to pull your charter. So we'll give you some time. Please change. If you don't, we can pull your charter. That sounds extreme, doesn't it? It's not what we're used to. There was a time when revolting against the most powerful nation in the world seemed extreme. It seemed impossible. Could it be done? But it was done. There was a time when abolishing slavery seemed impossible. It was supporting all those southern states' economy. Frederick Douglass, that escaped slave and abolitionist, he talked and wrote and traveled and preached for 20 years before we did anything about it. It took that long. Now, will there be unintended consequences? I'm certain there will be if our amendment were passed once. There will be unintended consequences. In all great movements, there have been unintended consequences. Let's look at the 60s and 70s. Three great movements: the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, and the feminist movement. Some downside? Sure. It created the erosion of the nuclear family, as near as I can tell. It started the drug culture. So yeah, there's going to be, I think, a certain amount of, I'll call it chaos, if an amendment like this one, the one singular passes, because it's going to put some stress on the whole system. State legislatures are going to have to move in a different direction than they have been. They're going to have to take a look at corporations that are chartered in their organization, in their state. There will be some unintended consequences. Great social movements often create those, I expect. Now, one other success that I think did not have any downside, any unintended consequences, the 19th Amendment, women's suffrage. Took 60, 70 years, right? You walked, you demonstrated, you preached, some went to prison, but you did it. And this great organization was born. I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to stop this plague that's infecting our country. You would not be here today if you didn't care about our nation. Generations before us have answered the call when it seemed our country was in peril. I think this is our call. If some of you would like to join the movement I'm talking about, I'll be back there. I have some folders I can give you. I have brochures if you just want to learn more about it. The amendment that we're proposing is on the back side of that brochure. When you open it up, you're going to see a picture of FDR. And that doesn't mean we're partisan, although, as Mr. Stringer said, Move to Amend was started by some very partisan people. Thank you for the chance to be here, Ellie. And thank you for the lead and guests. It's been a pleasure. I'll be glad to take your questions. I hope I can answer them effectively. Thank you.